Last year, I was given the opportunity to play on New Heart Music Ministry's new album. I was given the opportunity to just go free flow and just play whatever parts I wanted, of course, within the confines and parameters of the technical brief given to me. I came up with parts, I submitted them, and nothing came back. No word from the producer came back for the next 2-3 weeks. Now, I'm used to a certain level of back and forth between the producer and myself because if I'm in the studio environment with the producer right there, he might tell me, can you line up your touch? Can you play that chord slightly differently? And in fact, I won't even get to use the equipment that I bring, like the pedals I bring, because I'll normally record a dry, bypassed tone so that the producer can add on his own effects after. 3 weeks go by and there's no word from producer. I couldn't take it. I messaged him and I asked him, hey, what's going on? Is everything all right? Are my tracks okay? Do you need me to re-record anything? And he said, no, everything was perfectly fine. The tracks were okay, the tone was okay. So even though I recorded through a basic setup like a Pod Go, he was perfectly happy with the tone. It fit the vibe, it fit the energy, it fit the kind of tone that the song was going for. I shared this story not to pat myself on the back, but to impress upon you the need to develop musical instinct. On one hand, you're practicing your skills and your chords to upkeep the technical skills on the guitar to make sure that your fingers are nimble, that you're familiar with the fretboard. All of that is good, but the missing component in all of that is instinct. Musical instinct is going to instruct you what to play given the groove, given the chords, given the rhythm, given the harmony, given all these components of music. How do you craft a part that fits all these elements together? Musical instinct will guide those choices. Now, there are two primary ways to develop instinct. The number one is listening. Lots and lots of listening. There's just no going around listening. If you're a musician, if you're in worship ministry, even if you're a hobbyist, amateur musician, you have to be listening all the time. You have to be a listening machine. You need to develop an appreciation for how the instrument works over a variety of genres, over a variety of technical skill levels. You may not be able to play like Joe Satriani, but you may be able to appreciate how he applies his melodies over chords or a given chord progression or a given groove. So you can file those ideas on a musical bank and let your instinct take over to draw upon those resources when you need to come up with a part. The second way to develop musical instinct is to memorize and play note for note the exact guitar parts in your favorite songs or your favorite bands. If that's Joe Satriani and you're able to play note for note his songs, more power to you. But I'm talking about worship music specifically because this is a worship channel and I'm talking about worship guitar players. Worship guitar players have this interesting challenge that we need to come up with parts that don't fight with the vocal melody. And I've found that the best way to really hone in on that ability to figure out what works and what doesn't work against a vocal melody is to memorize guitar parts. Way back then when I was a student and I had no responsibilities and I had all the time in the world, I could play an album from start to finish. For All You've Done, You're My World, United's All About You, Salvation Is Here, you name it, those early albums, I was able to play all of them from start to finish. So pick your favorite worship album, play it on repeat, internalize what the guitar parts are, and then try to replay them note for note from track 1 all the way to track 13 or 14 or however long it is. And I guarantee you by the end of this exercise, you will have an appreciation for why the guitar parts are crafted the way they are. Like, why does he choose to arpeggiate a clean chord at this part of the song? Like when there's distortion on the guitar, is it single notes or is it multiple notes that are being played? And if so, how busy is the electric guitar part when there's distortion? Is it loud and open with like one giant chord, or is it going to be like picked with alternate picking, palm muted? And what emotional impact do those choices have on the song? So in summary, listen as widely as you can, internalize how the guitar works in those genres. And number 2, try this exercise of memorizing guitar parts from your favorite worship album. I guarantee you, your instinct will be honed just that much more so that when you play something, you will be able to fit the guitar part into a piece of music by yourself